Good morning, Rogersville. Welcome again to the Morning Waffle. We're playing with the sound again today, so hopefully so.
Mic check.
Yeah, hopefully that's all going good. I'm back on the old system so that I can monitor the situation, but you guys are on the fancy new lapel.
How do we sound?
I feel fancy.
I think you sound better than we've sounded in the past.
Oh, very good. I like it.
On those. Now, I'll tell you, we gave up a little bit because these pod mics are made for speaking what we're doing. And so these are not quite as good. But it saves us the problem of having guests that turn away.
Can't hear because they're not used to having
hear
to
what
eat
they're
the
saying
microphone.
because they're not speaking directly in the microphone. So
Yes.
So hopefully have reached a good compromise, best of both worlds, and there
I think
we
it's
go.
good. Good morning, Beth. She's already wished this morning she's glamping again.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put the comment out there.
fun.
Hey, Beth, good job.
It's a good day to glamp.
awesome.
The weather, hello.
Oh my goodness, this morning. The last 2 mornings, unreal.
I think everybody needed a break from the heat, and Missouri delivered.
Thank goodness.
I got so nervous when I saw 100 degrees early in June going, whoa, 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 whoa. No, not yet. That's later. If it's going to be that hot in June, watch out. July and August.
We were at a trap shoot on Saturday. Yeah, and so we took the pavilion. I actually took some solar-powered battery backups and hooked up fans. And I grilled brats, and I only died of heat stroke twice.
Oh, man.
You were brought back
Saturday.
by the smell of a brat.
The brats brought me back.
Salts,
But then Sunday,
Wow.
wave a brat in front of my face, I'm back. Sunday we went out to the range on the compound and we shot a little bit and it was beautiful.
Sunday was great.
Sunday was
Sunday
amazing.
afternoon.
Sunday was a breath of fresh
Had
air.
a great time. Beth says we sound great. Thanks,
Good.
Beth.
Thanks,
I
Beth.
appreciate that.
Beth.
So.
We needed it bad.
doing good.
People go absolutely crazy when you have extended periods of heat.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
It is not good. We are not made for that here.
No, we are not. But there's some cool things coming up.
Commonly, I like my cup. My cup from Story has been, I'm going to call it tattooed,
Yeah.
but with very positive,
got
sweet
ink.
messages.
Let's say,
God's got this. You're doing great. I feel like I'm doing great this morning.
Yeah.
That's
I feel like
very
God's
cool.
got this.
Yeah.
I was like, well, is this a new cup? And I'm like, no, this is hand done. So thank you, whoever did that. It's cool.
I'm
Very
having
cool.
I'm branching out, Chris. So you can see that is
What's in there?
not black coffee.
This is some cold with sweet cream?
It's an American pop thing. I don't know what is that. I
Coke and coffee.
Coke and coffee.
Coke and coffee. So it's cold nitro cold brew.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
And coffee.
I'm ready to go.
Thanks for drawing on my cup. Yeah.
There's no blow in his
I'm
coffee.
going to go draw on the walls.
Coca-Cola and nitro cold brew with some cream and a little sweetener in there.
Do you guys remember, let's say this was around 2005, that Coke came out with a Coke and coffee beverage.
Oh, yeah.
It was really good.
I do remember that.
It was, and they were small. It was
I
delicious.
never tried it.
It was delicious.
I
that
never
was in the
tried it.
Walgreens days, so
No,
I tried every new
was watching-
beverage.
I was watching Stranger Things the other day, and I noticed there was a Coke can on the table, and it said Coke Classic. And I told my boys, that's wrong.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have said Coke Classic because it was just Coke.
There was just
They
Coke.
hadn't done the new Coke
I'm
thing.
trying to think, when did they do that? And when did all that go down?
I don't remember.
I don't know,
when
but
that
Stranger
was.
Things is early 80s.
Is
so,
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been before that.
Somebody do the research on that.
Well, we're gonna call them out on it.
And let
I've
us
been watching
know.
Stranger Things too. It's gotten better this year. Has been my perspective on it. It started.
It's interesting that you would say that because Shelby and I had watched the first 3 seasons and all through that, and we watched the first episode of season 4, and she's like, "I'm out."
Really?
It's like too horror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too horror
Too
movie
dark.
now.
Too much.
Too dark for her.
torture,
She's
too
out.
much-
So I'm
like,
on my
that's
own
fine.
to finish it, but I've not gotten around to it
That's
yet. But
fine.
I'm really
fair.
bad at quitting. In general,
Just not gonna quit.
I have a
can't.
hard time quitting anything, anybody. I'm anyway.
I consider
so once I
myself
start
a-
something, I'm in. I got to finish it, even though I hate it. I'll be watching it.
I consider myself a completionist.
Yeah.
And that's because like playing like video games like Doom or whatever. It's like it's like, no, you can just run through. You don't have to kill everything. I'm like, oh yeah, I do.
No.
I really do. I
Gotcha.
really have to get it all and all of that. But
Got to complete it. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
hey, if you're looking for things to do, this Saturday, I'm not sure what time we'll start, but probably around 11, we're going to do Valley Mountain Quality
Yeah.
Meats is going to have a customer appreciation event.
Oh, cool.
So you can come. I'm going to be cooking up some sliders that we're going to be
Nice.
giving away for folks. So we're going to use that Valley Mountain Quality Meat beef. We're going to season them up good, throw them on the grill, and then I think we're going to get some King's Hawaiian rolls.
Oh, that's
Those
delicious.
are the best.
To
If you're
put 'em
going to do
on.
sliders, it's
Yeah.
Solid
just-
choice.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be good. You should come out to Valley Mountain this weekend, and I think Justin Evans is going to be hanging around there too. So if you
We'll
want to
pop
meet
by
Justin,
then.
yeah,
Got
he's
steak
running for
there from the other
judge.
night. It was great.
He's running for judge. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. So I like him. He's doing that. And then July 16th, August 20th, September 17th, and October 22nd, Market in the Park.
Yeah, Bailey's been working really
So
hard on
yeah,
that.
Bailey Tennis is working on that. So July
So cool.
16th, mark
Yeah.
your calendar.
I know the coffee shop was set up for the 4th of July, and they'll be set up for that. And so
Good.
we've added fresh squeezed lemonade
Oh.
to the menu
Ooh.
items for
Okay.
these pop-up events. So
That sounds nice.
along with the cold and hot coffee.
It's not a corn dog on a stick kind of thing, is it? You know?
That made me really want a corn
not
dog.
for us.
Okay.
Not for us.
A little early
Somebody
for a
might be
corn
doing
dog,
that
but
though.
I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah. Can always go for a corn dog.
Good morning, Vicki.
Absolutely.
Hey, Vicky.
I want to give a shout out to Vicki. On Saturday, I needed some help with. I help people. Rogersville Friends of the Park helps people get community service hours, right? And we had a project get completed, and my girls need to finish their.
You help too.
To finish their
In a way.
20 hours needed something, and so we brought them over to the community garden, and Vicki and Keziah were there, and it was a great experience for those girls, and it was a great experience for the Larry Martin Community Garden, so it was good.
Awesome.
Very good. So shout out to Vicki. It was really hot Saturday, and they all worked their tails off.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So some people when they're in municipal court, they may get a little bit of community service as a condition of their probation. If it's a serious crime, as serious as we get in municipal court, because nothing incredibly serious.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of the people.
Yeah. But sometimes people will say, "Hey, I can't afford my fine and costs," and we're like, "You can do community service instead of paying your fines and costs."
Yeah.
That's an
And
option.
there's
And
several
so,
options to do community service in town.
yeah, there are. You've volunteered to help with that.
Yep.
Dwayne lets people do some things for their daycare and the garden and
Yep.
and all that. And as long as it's a not-for-profit
Yep,
and it meets certain other criteria.
it's
so
pretty
we can-
good. And
We
yeah,
actually had somebody at the coffee shop.
did you?
Became
That's
a
good.
barista. It was awesome.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Very
mean,
good.
it's completely cleaned up the invasive plants at the little Main Street Park. The
Yeah.
neighbors are very appreciative of it. They're very appreciative.
Well, good.
And I think it's been a good experience for the people in the community service involved because they've had good communication with the neighbors and realized that it's done good things. So,
Well, sometimes
Good.
community service. I mean, I think I've been doing the judge thing for 20 some years now, part time at least, and I think when people go into it with a good attitude, it can actually produce a little bit of life change because you sort of go, "Oh, I can do something good for somebody else,"
and it has good rewards doing that.
yep. So anyway,
It waves.
I'm a fan.
Creating waves. So it's been good.
Yeah, Vicky said she had a good time too. So
Yeah, it was good. It was very
Awesome,
good. So it was a
awesome.
neat thing.
Speaking of the law,
Oh, geez.
oh
we
geez,
Oh, geez. Everybody get ready. You're about to be offended or not. You never know.
what's new? What's new in the legal
Seems
world?
like something happened.
they struck down the New York law that prohibits concealed carry.
They
New
did?
York had
I
a goofy law
heard
that said
about
you have
that.
to show compelling need to get a concealed carry permit, and New York said, the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. If you're going to give
Interesting.
concealed carry permits, you have to give them to anybody who meets the minimum qualifications. You can't have a special
Yeah,
showing
that's
for
really
that.
weird. How would you prove need? That'd be totally.
Well, if you're in the mafia, then you have a need for concealed carry. So New York was giving out
And
concealed
delicious
carry permits
pasta.
to people that were in the mafia and things like that. So most of their politicians, government officials, people like that would give them and then deny them to everybody else. So it's one of those, it's okay for me, but not for thee.
There's
kind
another
of
one
laws
too.
they had.
Well, we're going to get to the
Well, the
giant
football,
elephant in the room.
the
football coach.
the football coach who was
Yeah.
praying, and they suspended him or something because he was praying at midfield, and they said no, he has a First Amendment right to pray. You can't take it away from him just because he's an educator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just like the players that he coaches had the right to walk away from the prayer.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly, and so. Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm really loving our Supreme Court right now.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a very complex situation.
and you know the one everybody's cranky about. Some are not. Is the Roe versus Wade decision? And
Yeah.
so,
And Dobbs and
Dobbs that overturned Roe versus Wade and Casey, its progeny.
Casey.
Yep.
Yep.
So I don't know. I can tell you from a legal perspective
that it was bad law to begin with.
Well, okay. So let's walk through this a little bit. So there's a couple different analyses I think that's important to understand purely from a legal perspective.
Yeah.
First of all, a lot of people are mad because they believe the Dobbs decision in overruling Roe versus Wade makes abortion illegal. It does not.
That's not correct.
True. All the Supreme Court said is the federal government is going to stay out of it. Needs to stay out of it. That's all they said. Now, in doing so, they said, we don't believe we cannot find anywhere in the Constitution that there is a right to an abortion. All the legal people, excuse me.
You're fine.
Will tell you, and you can look at this. Everybody that is pro-life says it's a horrible decision. Most of the people, lawyers that are pro-choice, go, yeah, it was a bad decision. Doesn't have anything to do with
the original
Roe versus Wade was a poorly written, poorly thought out, bad jurisprudence. Just of the rules of this is how we decide cases. Roe ignored all that, went way out the bounds.
Take the emotion out of it. Take the say morality out of it.
Yeah,
take religion out of it.
We're just talking about from a legal perspective. Was their legal reasoning good? Did they keep to hundreds of years of well thought out? This is how we make decisions. And virtually everyone that's a lawyer, pro-choice or pro-life, says no, they didn't. It was poorly done. It was mostly legislative. They created essentially a legislative scheme where they created whole cloth this trimester thing, which judges can't do that. We're not doctors. Right. We don't get to do things
that is
like that.
That is to me the utmost murky situation in the whole thing.
And so from
lawyers and judges are not doctors.
Yeah, nor are we legislators.
Yeah.
And those are the two big problems that everybody there's always exceptions, but primarily whether you're pro-choice, pro-life, every lawyer primarily says it was not a well done decision. They wanted to reach a result, and they went through all types of gymnastics to get there. And so, just from a pure legal perspective,
that it was to the states.
Yeah, the states could decide.
After that, the federal government defined it as a right with their decision.
A constitutionally protected right. Yes.
And then Roe v. Wade Dobbs has
rolled that back. And just said, no, it's not a federally protected right. States get to make the decision. Another thing people don't understand is Roe put restrictions or allowed restrictions on abortion. And so, there are certain states like California and New York that wanted abortion anytime,
carte blanche,
blanche, and they couldn't because Roe prevented that.
Which, that in itself seems bizarre.
And so California actually is going to have a more expansive abortion culture.
Because now they are no longer regulated by the federal government on what they can and can't do.
Now, if we look specifically at Missouri law, because Missouri was the first state ever to ban abortion in history.
Right.
Yeah.
And is now the first state to ban it post-Roe. Boom. Really quick.
Yeah.
Couple of things. People are saying, well, women are going to die because of pregnancies that are going to kill them. The Missouri law has an exception for medical.
That's my number one question.
And people say, well, an ectopic pregnancy is not viable.
Well, here's my question. What is defined as a medical emergency?
Yeah, well, that's...
So
the doctors get to decide that, not judges.
That's a question that needs to be answered because, so a lot of the posts I've seen this week have been from women who've given very specific examples of when, pregnancies didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it is very clear that their opinion is I would have had to have carried, in essence, a dead fetus, right?
I do not see that in any way in our Missouri law. That is the
question that the Missouri needs to stand up and answer that question. I'm tired of hearing...
all the states are going to have to do that to some degree. But I think, especially, and you're watching this on social media right now, but there's a lot of... poorly thought out, as Roe v. Wade was poorly done in terms of determining what the law says and allows. There's some very poorly thought out arguments that surface through social media.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the lean not just into the exceptions, but to the strangely twisted exceptions that don't even exist.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of that. And of course, I don't make it my journey to go through and try to fight all those battles.
Well, you can't. You can't fight them.
But it does cause me to roll my eyes a lot because it's just a massive lack of understanding as to what women are going to be forced to do.
Well, and you see a lot of things. And just to kind of, as best I can, put a bow on the legal side of this right now is I am confident. I'm eminently confident that in Missouri, all of those horror scenario stories about medical, mother's life in danger is whole cloth just hyperbole. That's not the issue.
You might even call it ammo.
You might even call it ammo. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Right.
That's not what the law makes an exception for medical emergency. The doctor gets to decide that if it's a medical emergency, which basically means this is going to cause, in my opinion, if I'm the judge, I'm deciding.
If I'm deciding a medical emergency.
If I'm deciding it, I'm going to hear doctor testimony, and I'm going to hear the mother was going to suffer irreparable physical harm, i.e., for me, a medical emergency, if it's going to cause paralysis, lifelong disability, or death, that's a medical emergency.
But even then, what's going to happen? Who's going to get the choice?
Yeah, right. The mother is.
Yes.
Yeah, the mother gets, because you can always refuse medical treatment.
That's right. So if you want to talk about women's choice, it is there.
Yeah. And so
I think Missouri's number one thing they need to do immediately is define. They got the trigger law. They had a trigger law. Parsons and the AG got it, so it enacted. They need to have a press conference and define what their trigger law has done.
And see, the thing is, they can't really define these medical emergency issues because the list is infinite and changes daily based on science. So what's going to happen? Is potentially at some point, some doctor is going to perform an abortion. Based on this medical emergency exception. A local prosecutor is going to file a criminal charge against that doctor.
So we have to wait for the law to catch
You have to wait for the law. The judges have to hear that and decide it.
Here's the problem. There's people right now with pregnancies in Missouri who they're not viable. They don't have brain activity. They don't have a heartbeat. What are they doing right now? Are they stuck?
No, they shouldn't be. A doctor should say there's a medical emergency. We're going to take care of it. And a local prosecutor is going to review that, and they're going to decide based on their own prosecutorial discretion, should this person be prosecuted or not be prosecuted. And the great thing about that is it happens at the local level. A county prosecutor is going to decide what happens in that county, which means you may get a different decision in St. Louis than you're going to get in Marshfield.
Of course you are. I mean, historically, we know this.
The other thing is about Missouri law is everybody is saying, well, now we can't get abortions in Missouri. Hey, you know what? You haven't been able to get a legal abortion in Missouri in about 3 years because there have been no abortion clinics in Missouri for about 3 years.
There's one in St. Louis.
No, it closed. It closed a few years ago.
I looked it up recently because that's one thing I looked for. Yeah. People don't realize it has not been easy to get an abortion in Missouri for years. Mm-hmm. People think that you can go to the Planned Parenthood on Battlefield and get an abortion. Mm-hmm. That is incorrect, and that has been incorrect for a long time. It's gone through periods where they've had abortion doctors and have not. And the article I read sounded like they had been doing them in St. Louis, and maybe it was a couple years old, and then in Illinois. So I think that is a huge misconception about abortion in Missouri, is that you have been able to go. You have already been traveling to get an abortion in Missouri for years.
So it really didn't change anything.
Years. It really did not change much in Missouri.
Yep.
And so now my deal is I want people to have conversations about the facts as opposed to, and you should be able to do that, right? You should be able to sit down in a room and have a conversation about facts.
Yeah.
And not tear each other apart.
Without name calling.
Yeah.
And without invoking you don't have a right to an opinion.
Correct.
Because it's just not true. Anytime you're shutting down half the conversation by saying men shouldn't have an opinion,
it's not okay.
It's not okay.
Yeah. That's when I think about just the art of argumentation and debate.
Yeah.
When people throw that one out there,
it's an ad hominem
It is
attack.
an ad hominem attack, absolutely. And I thought this the other day. Some of you have never had to construct an argument for a view you disagree with, and it shows.
Yeah.
You should have been in high school debate.
Well, you should have, and I wasn't. But in college, I discovered debate and did it in college, and it was life-changing for me.
Oh, yeah.
To have to uphold a view that I, in my heart, disagree with, but I got to at least learn how people arrive at their conclusions. I have many friends who have been pro-choice for a long, long time, and I don't believe that they're all a bunch of evil people that just want to see babies die.
No, I don't either.
I don't think at the core, the vast majority of people want to see babies die.
No, I think
I agree with that statement.
When I listen to people, when I really listen, I hear them say,
I care about women.
I care about women, and I care about these children that might grow up in a desperate situation.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, I disagree with their conclusion for how to deal with this.
Right.
I long for a day when, and I've been talking to my church about this for months, but I long for a day when we have to react to a new reality.
Yeah.
And so what I told our church on Sunday was I don't feel that the church won some battle over the weekend.
I don't
because it wasn't the church's battle.
Right.
But what we were given was maybe a new opportunity, an expanded opportunity.
Yep.
We are ready to care for women. We are ready to help with more orphans if that's what it means. But whatever it takes, we don't just say that we value life.
Right.
We truly value life.
Well,
but again, I'm kind of circling the wagon here, but I don't believe my pro-choice friends just hate babies and don't want to see babies born. They really care. I just disagree with how they care.
Well, and I don't believe that the men in government hate women because they have gone. I don't believe that.
Because they have another body part. Yeah, they don't get it.
I don't believe that. And I think there's so many things that all of us want to say in this situation. And guys, it's terrifying that we are afraid to talk about these things. It's terrifying that we are afraid to have important conversations where we talk about honest opinions, that someone is going to try to ruin our lives because we don't agree.
And to have an honest opinion, you've got to get rid of all the ad hominem straw man attacks. And so the other straw man you see right now is particularly against Christians. Because people say, oh, you're just forcing your religion on me. Well, I'm a Christian, I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you, I know what the Bible says, I know what the conclusions are, but my belief that my pro-life stance is based primarily in science, in that I believe the science, the medical science, overwhelmingly shows that life begins at conception, and that is a human being with dignity, value, and worth as soon as it has its own unique DNA. Yeah. And based on that, I have to conclude that the destruction of that is murder as historically typically defined. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's all there is to it. Yeah. And if that's true, that's got nothing to do with my Christian beliefs. The other thing is you see this, Christians, they don't care about people because they don't care about them. A vast majority of pregnancy care centers are started by Christian churches. Yeah. Every Christian church I know has an active, vibrant foster care, adoption support network.
Yes.
And actively encourages adoption and supports foster children. I mean, my church does that. Your church does that. We had a very similar conversation as what you just said Sunday morning. It's like, this is an opportunity for the church to step up and show how we care for everyone.
Let's prove to the world we're not just about talk. This is not just a battle.
But what you and I both know.
This is what we're about.
Is that narrative will persist. It doesn't matter what we do.
Yeah.
That narrative is going to persist, and we just have to keep showing it the same. Thanks, Tatiana, for thank you. We're trying to have it.
And another red herring is this idea, well, what about rape and incest? What about rape and incest? And I feel every time somebody brings that up,
I feel the pain.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Right? But let's not forget, I spent 18 years in youth ministry. Mm-hmm. I know young ladies who were raped. Mm-hmm. I know young ladies who carried their baby to term. Mm-hmm. And I know the joy that they have, difficulty, yes,
sure.
But the joy that they have in their child. I can also tell you that I've counseled young people, women who have had an abortion. Yeah. So if you take rape, which has massive psychological effects on somebody.
It is a crime, a horrendous crime that has been committed against someone.
It's awful. It breaks my heart every time I think about it. Yeah. So if you take the emotional, physical, spiritual trauma that takes place there, and then you compound it with now an abortion, because what people don't want to talk about, and there's not enough research on it. There is research, but not enough, because most people will never talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
The psychological effect of having an abortion is catastrophic. So now you've compounded the issue because somebody's already been raped, or and now you throw abortion on top of it. That's not a fix. Yeah. You're messing with somebody.
It doesn't help on top of all of that to have two sides yelling at each other, and that person's stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not.
They're being told how to feel and what to do, and
it's not okay. And I think you run into a real slippery slope when you start legislating, making rules and laws based off of the most extreme examples.
Sure.
Which rape and incest is
your dad must have been a lawyer.
Yeah. A really good one.
It's called, what that is it's called hard cases make bad law.
And so that is one of the biggest problems I really believe in our country right now, is we are making decisions off of the most extreme cases. Here's the deal. The most extreme cases are the most evil in our lives, right? In a lot of cases. Not always. Sometimes extreme can be good. But you're talking about criminals who have attacked a human, caused them all kinds of distress. You cannot throw that out as the main factor in these decisions, because it is the extreme in the case.
Well,
right?
I'll just tell you, I have some interesting legal positions that I hold, and not everybody agrees with them, but I would not be opposed to an expansion of the application of the death penalty to include things like rape, because you do almost as much damage. Now that's off the. Now we don't even talk about that.
I know, but
I mean, it's that serious. It's
that serious of a thing.
I wish it had greater consequences.
Women do not go through that, and men can be raped too. It does happen. You don't go through that as an individual and come out on the other side.
No, the same.
Yeah, it's dehumanizing.
You don't.
Yeah,
but there's other crimes that people commit against you that do the same thing. We need to talk about the most common issues. Yeah. Have the discussions. You can't get great numbers on the abortion. It's an abortion survey, is I believe what it's called at the CDC. Right. That's where you go to look for the data, right? You can't even get true information from that data, because there's two of the biggest abortion states do not send their information to the CDC because they don't legally have to. So we really don't know how many are happening. Yep. And the other question I have too that I think is really important, so the women who have made the comments on Facebook recently about their personal situation where they had a medical necessary abortion because the fetus was not viable, it is coded as an abortion in the healthcare system is what they have said. Are those going into the abortion number?
Yeah, I don't know.
That the CDC uses to, because guys, we're using these numbers to create laws, but they're not accurate information.
Right. And so, like Tatiana just put up there a statistic, I'll throw it back up there. Only 1% of abortions are because of rape. And I've seen that. And if you, that's not the statistic I saw. The one that I saw was that 95% of all abortions are elective. They didn't have, there was not a medical emergency, or it wasn't rape or incest. It wasn't anything like that. And so when we're talking about the extremes, you have to consider, if we just got rid of 95% of the abortions because people just got pregnant and didn't want to, and I don't mean to belittle that either, because that's also traumatic. But, I think it all. We have to start, whenever we're going to have an honest conversation about this, we have to start at the beginning. And the beginning to me is, when does life begin?
Yeah,
and I think
a lot of people define it.
You have to open your eyes and say, is this a life or is it not a life?
Right.
And if we can't agree on that, then we're not going to agree on anything else. But when you honestly look at the science and you come to the conclusion, if you do, that this is a life, then to me, it answers the question about rape and incest. Yes. It doesn't answer it in a way that people like.
Right.
But the issue becomes if Lauren gets raped, she becomes pregnant, I'm not going to kill Chris because it's not his fault. And therefore,
it's a really
And therefore, I'm not going to kill the baby that's the result of rape or incest because it's not the baby's fault. And if you start with life as at conception, you have to logically come to that conclusion. It's uncomfortable, but I understand it.
The science is better understood now than it was in 73.
50 years ago?
A lot of things have changed since the 70s.
Right. And yet, I hear that argument, but I think we knew. I think we knew in the 70s.
We did.
I think there
that
were,
it was life.
well,
right. But now it's harder to deny it.
Yeah. I think we knew it from a philosophical, spiritual,
and maybe that's what it was. It was
perspective.
We viewed it as the Christian right was putting their biblical worldview there.
But now science backs it up.
I think, though, to counter that point, I think the vast majority of people who, let's just say, are hardcore pro-choice, they know that. But that is really not the reason they're there. They are there because they're at that conclusion because of their life experiences. And I know that because the response I've seen of people some people has been absolute fear, distrust. It's like that someone has come personally after them. That opinion is being bred by their life experiences.
Well, and we're all that way. Our life experience. Shauna has an interesting. I'm not going to read all that. Not that it's too long, Shauna. I love your comment. I didn't mean to disparage it, but it's an interesting comment. It's on the screen if somebody wants to read it. But yeah, it's a sad circumstance.
It's the biggest problem on top of all of these other problems is that we have a 24/7 news cycle that is spewing garbage at us constantly.
Telling you what to think, telling you how to feel, poking at the emotions.
And not only that, we have phones that listen to us that further push whatever issues they think we want us to hear. And what's been interesting is I've been Googling some things. There's some people that I unfollow from time to time on Facebook. And I have Googled some things recently, and weirdly those people have popped back up in my Facebook. That is odd.
Yeah.
And I think if anybody thinks that they're not being influenced on a minute basis, if you are tuned into technology, you're wrong. You're being influenced.
And I think
right?
I think the answer to some of that, one step is regardless of what you think, where you are on the political spectrum, learn to recognize and reject hyperbole.
Yes.
And so if you see the baby killing, blah, 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 you gotta reject that. That's not your neighbor. That's not your friend.
That is a really good way to put it.
And if you see the forced birth stuff, just reject it. That's not your friend.
Don't live in the extremes.
Don't live in those extremes. It's this wide is the real divide. But the hyperbole from the left and the right, and the people that make their living raising money on these issues, they're here and they want to stir you up and they want to foment hate to cause you to donate to their cause.
Or tune into their show or buy merchandise or whatever.
You mean follow the money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow the money.
Realize your friends are not this far away from you. They're this far away from you. And an honest conversation like this can go a long way. And you may walk away saying, I still don't agree, but you'll at least know that you all value the same thing. We all value life. We all value women. We all value liberty. We all value freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what the Declaration of Independence says that we have. We're after. And we all value that. And sometimes we see it from different perspectives, but we just got to get there and reject the extremes.
Just listen more, ask better questions, and just choose, we've talked about it before, be unoffendable.
Yeah,
just
unoffendable.
Unoffendable because you can be offended every second of every day if you want to be, or you can choose, I can enjoy this life.
That's right.
And go, I don't have to agree with everything Will says, we can be friends. It's okay, right? Like, it's okay. It's okay to disagree, and man, we've lost that art in this country. I know we say it a lot.
Oh my gosh, we have.
We're going to be better off if we can be friends with people we disagree with.
Absolutely.
We have got to work together. We have got to. And there is a whole move of selfish behavior that is harming individuals at their home level their community level, the country level, the world level. We are not designed to step on people and get higher.
Yep.
We're not.
Yep.
It doesn't work.
But we've been trying it since the
We've
beginning
been
of
trying
the
it since the beginning of
And
time.
we'll never stop.
Yeah.
And we'll
most
never
most
stop.
will never stop.
Yeah.
But
So,
I encourage people to have conversations. We used to be able to do this, guys, and I know a lot, when I was in college, which was several years ago now,
right.
my friends I disagreed with, we were able to have conversations and go out and still have beers that night and be perfectly
What's
fine.
really fun is when you can have conversations with people that you disagree with and then insult each other and make fun of each other because you're such good friends, it's just all in good fun.
I love you too, Micah. Well, and the sad thing is there were some of those friends, Micah, college friend, that I, at some point, lost them because of Facebook. Like, issues got made comments on Facebook where we used to sit around and have these conversations
right,
in
Beth.
dorm rooms, while we were drinking beer and having Taco Bell. Like, we used to sit around.
Beer at Taco Bell.
I know. Let's bring back beer and Taco Bell. It was fine when you were 22. It's not, let's see what I did there, 22.
Yeah,
It's not fine when you're 38. So let's get back to that, where we can disagree. And I have been around strong women my whole life. Big surprise, right? My mom, let's graduated from high school in the 70s, and she's a preacher's kid, right? I can tell you, my mom will tell you, things have changed a lot for women since then. And
She's seen a thing or two.
She's seen a thing or two, and she's a different person than she was when she was kind of a timid, kid in high school that moved around a lot. So be respectful, have the conversations. And if somebody's pushing too much, if they're just trying to just say you're evil, it's okay to step away for a while.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
That's what that snooze is for on Facebook. Just snooze them for 30 days.
I've never lost a friend because we disagreed, but I've hidden or unfollowed or unfriended people who are being obnoxious.
Yeah, me too.
Just because I don't need that in my life.
Me too.
We can disagree, but when you're just being obnoxious,
See ya. See ya.
Don't need it.
The weirdest thing, I keep thinking, should I say my opinion? Guys, I don't know my opinion on this deal. I believe life begins when life begins. I believe that. I believe that our medical industry should be making medical decisions. I also believe that our medical industry has been tainted by politics.
That's true.
Which is scary.
Yep.
And I believe that it is not a cookie cutter, easy thing to make decisions on. And I think most people feel odd about this.
Yeah, that's the last piece of misinformation I'm seeing out there. It says 70% of Americans support Roe v. Wade. It's because 70% of Americans don't understand Roe v. Wade. You do the other analysis and says, but an equal or greater majority of Americans agree there should be limits on abortion. So to say
overwhelming
Yeah,
majority.
I think there's
so to say an overwhelming group of Americans is opposed to this Dobbs decision, I think is disingenuous. I think if people really understood, if people really understood Dobbs, they would go, yeah, that makes sense. And I wish the reasoning in Dobbs, which is actually part of Clarence Thomas's dissent, or not dissent, but concurrence, should be applied across the board, which basically says, the federal government doesn't need to make these decisions for everybody. Yeah. Let California be California. Let Missouri be Missouri.
Well,
let Texas be Texas.
This makes it easier for California to be California.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. It makes it easier.
Good luck with that, California.
Scariest thing
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Keep on trucking.
But what happens when your water runs out?
We're just gonna. We're just gonna
California.
Once it burns down, we're just gonna go in and pick it up.
Here's the scariest thing that I've seen all week. It was a comment on a thing that said, "This is your fault." Missouri states, "This is your fault that this happened. You have got to get people to start voting blue." What if I went to California and started screaming, "You have got to get people to vote red"? People have a right to want to live where they want to live with different laws.
Yeah.
They have it right.
That's the way our country was designed,
Yeah.
and
Correct.
that's why it was going to work. And the problem is we've had this creep over the last 200 years of everything becoming homogenous, and
Doesn't work.
states like California that have such a huge influence on national politics, forcing everyone else to live like them, and we don't want to.
That's also why there's a mass exodus out of
It
California.
is.
If
It
you look
is.
at the voting map, look at the voting
Look
map.
at the county by
The
county voting map.
by county voting map.
It's-
And I am not one to tell you that I am loving our politicians right now, because frankly, I'm not. And historically, this is not new, right?
Yeah. Right.
We have had, with power comes a lot of things. It's just like Europe. You can live in whatever country in Europe you want to live in.
Yeah.
You can live in whatever, country in Africa you want to live in. It's okay to have different opinions.
It certainly
It's
is.
okay.
So we'll keep it that way.
Does anybody have anything else they want to say before we're done?
Do you feel better?
I feel better.
You feel good?
I feel better. You feel better?
I think you should have wore a white shirt today, though.
Why would I
We would have been red, white, and blue. Then.
Oh.
It's because the 4th of July is
Yeah.
coming up. But hey, come out and see us on Saturday at Valley Mountain Quality Meat for customer appreciation. Get a free slider cooked by yours truly. And be looking for Mark at the Park. And join us again next week on the Morning Waffle. See you next week.